Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Holowitz, and I am going to give you a new act tip for my website, 365acttips.com. In this tutorial, I want to talk to you about what I consider to be the absolutely positively no question, the most important field in ACT. Again, let me repeat that. I believe this is absolutely the most important field in ACT, and that is this field right here, the ID status. When you put a contact in ACT and you add a lot of contacts, it is imperative that you know who those contacts are. In a previous tutorial, I had suggested that the summer is a great time to audit your ACT database. And the reason I said that is because for a lot of us, the summer slows down. It gets a little more laid back. People are away. It's just sort of, you have a little bit more organizational time on your hands. Well, the ID status, in my opinion, is the first line of defense of making sure no one ever slips through the cracks in your ACT database. My experience has been that when you really look at your contacts in your ACT database, they can all be defined in one of approximately 5 ways. If you think about it, if you're in business, most of us, our contacts are first and foremost customers or clients, whatever you want to call them. But I want to point out that that word customers or clients, they both start with the letter C. That's relevant because I want to make the ID status entry so easy to do. So people that are in ACT, customers or clients, they're the most vital people in there because if you're in business, you need to stay in touch with them. You need to take care of them. The second, and I'm going to click on the drop down right here, in my opinion, is prospect. Okay, prospect is anyone that you haven't sold something to, and maybe you have an opportunity to sell something to. So you want to stay in touch with your prospects. Next is employee. Now, I'm going to use employee in a couple different ways. If you're a business with a bunch of people, you might want to have your fellow employees in here. So that's why you define them as employee. If you're a small business, 1 or 2 people, and you know who the other employee is, a lot of times I'll suggest to people use employee if you have a contact in here from a company that's sort of a secondary contact. In other words, someone at a company you deal with all the time that's never going to buy anything or do anything related to you, but you just want to have their name in here just so you have a record of it. Define them as employees. So that's something you can use another day, or I'll describe in more detail another day. You'll notice I have vendor in here. You should have all your vendors in ACT. If you are in a small business, obviously, if you need to reach the local cable company or your telephone vendor or the car mechanic, have them in here as a vendor. You'll notice that I have the word Tony in here. Let me explain why I have that. What I try to do with the ID status is make everything one touch. So I always want to have a different first letter for each item. But having said that, sometimes depending on your name, it might vary. So Tony takes the place of family or friends. So anything that's personal, anything that's about me, I give them the ID status of Tony. You could always use family or friend and sort of group those two together because don't over organize things that are intuitive. In other words, if you need to find a family member, you're going to be able to find the family member by their last name. You're going to know that. You don't always have to know it by family or friend. But this is the key. When you audit your ACT database, it comes down to 2 things. It comes down to your prospects and your clients. Everything else is secondary. Prospects and clients. So if you can't quickly go up and click on Lookup, ID status, and then find all your prospects or your clients, any of those, then you are really hurting yourself if you are an ACT user. Prospects and clients, those are the 2 most important things. So make sure you use the ID status field simply. Now I know some of you are sitting there thinking, oh no, I could never do that. I have to organize it. I need to know, okay, are they an attorney? Are they, a car mechanic? Are they in advertising? What is their field? What do they do? That to me is something that can be over organization, and I never want you to be a database manager. And if you have any questions on why I feel so strongly about that, get in touch with me and I'll talk to you about how to approach that. And I'll show you why I think if you keep it simple, it's going to make your life a lot easier. So again, these are what I recommend. Client, employee, prospect, vendor, and the last one would be for all your personal stuff. And the reason sometimes I'll use my first name is if you're sharing a database, obviously you can't all have family or friends in there because then it will get mixed up amongst all of you. So that's why sometimes I'll say, listen, if you can work it out, use your name so that things related to you have your name on it. It might be Fred or, whatever it might be. But this is the most important field. And if you take nothing away from any of the teaching I've ever done, take away this. Simplify the ID status. My name is Tony Holowitz, and I thank you for your time. Have a great day.